So we wanted to make this video because we saw a couple other creators on YouTube making this video about BiggerPockets, specifically more recently Tony Stephan. Of course, there's David Green and Rob Abasolo, who were a part of BP at one point, and it was not necessarily to bash BiggerPockets, but give their perspective on the new version of BiggerPockets. And honestly, we didn't stop listening to BiggerPockets because it was bad. We stopped listening because we outgrew it. And at a certain point, real estate content can just start to slow you down. So we wanted to make this video to show you or explain why we stopped listening to BiggerPockets for the most part and what we're listening to now. So I don't know if you have any thoughts initially.
Yeah, I mean, I guess just to add some credibility here. So a little bit about us. We started our real estate journey back in March of 2021, so we're coming up on 5 years now, and BiggerPockets was just like a great place to start because we were your classic first-time home buyer house hacking method. We used my first-time home buyer on that first property, Kevin's first-time home buyer on the second, and then we grew to a total of 5 homes, 10 units from there. So I think you guys will find our insights relatively insightful because it's not like you're listening to like OG Brandon Turner videos from 10 plus years ago when the market was very, very different. We started our investing journey during COVID and cash offers and trying to be competitive. It was a very unique time. So I think our perspective could be helpful.
Like exactly what you said, like the Brandon Turner, that was a whole nother era of BiggerPockets where it was like buy your $100,000 home somewhere. And like that, I mean, it literally exists, but at least where we are in the New England market, I think our cheapest home right now is like $450,000. And that's not to brag or anything. It's just like, it's a lot more difficult when you're at that level. And there's people who their single family homes are even higher. And I think just as active operators ourselves, we just have in the New England market, plus in this more modern, just overall market outside of New England. Again, we think BiggerPockets has shifted their directions, and we've shifted our own direction, and those two paths kind of didn't converge anymore.
And I think for one last bit of context too is Kevin and I both still work full-time W-2 jobs while having the size portfolio that we have, and I'm sure we'll dive into this, later on, but yeah, I feel like a lot of BiggerPockets kind of says those kind of numbers. Oh, you have 10 doors and then suddenly retire. And here's an example where that wasn't the case. But
right. And we have 10 big doors. These are huge apartments, huge homes, and it's still not enough. But honestly, I think BiggerPockets is still good. Again, I think it's more for us specifically. We stopped listening to it. And same with, again, some of the other people. I think if you're a new investor, or it's your first deal, or honestly, you just want to learn the language a little bit, I do think BiggerPockets is still great to listen to. It can get you just into that environment. It can give you that motivation you need sometimes to get going and hear some of these inspirational stories. I mean, I don't know what your thoughts.
No, to that point, I think it's really good exposure to how people get started in real estate. I mentioned we got in through house hacking, but other people do group homes like sober home livings, mental health livings, residential assisted living, Airbnb, of course, is a popular one, midterm rentals. So I think if you're just starting out and you're trying to figure out what type of strategy is going to work best for you, I think it's a good place to start. And then once you kind of hone down on your strategy, you're able to find other, creators out there and influencers that are doing your strategy and are able to double down on the strategy. Yeah,
more actionable plans, I felt like.
Right.
I mean, and to be clear, we weren't falling apart listening to them. Our portfolio today still cash flows, and we can definitely get into videos in the future if anyone's interested in the breakdown of our portfolio and specific numbers. We're pretty open people when it comes to that, to help others and hopefully other people we can learn from as well. But it's not that we weren't unmotivated, we were falling apart. It's just that we kind of plateaued. It felt like we were just stuck is the best way to experience or explain it. I felt like we didn't know what the next step was other than just rinse and repeat, which certainly works, but for our goals, if we're going to rinse and repeat, it was going to take forever at the current rate, the current cash flow rates. And
yeah, and I felt like we were hearing the same information over and over again. And when you're a new investor, you're going to have the first-time home buyer option. And another thing I felt like BiggerPockets was pushing was like OPM, meaning other people's money.
Yep.
And this is me maybe bashing a little bit, but there would be like these 18-year-old kids that are like, oh, I just cold called and wholesaled and used other people's money. In my head, I'm like, who's giving these 18-year-olds
right,
hundreds of thousands of dollars on a cold call? Like I just wasn't buying it
I'm
anymore.
sure it happens, but it's not the norm. Like we've been doing real estate for the last 5 years, and we've talked to a lot of real estate investors, and I can tell you a lot of those methods that they're pushing is not the norm. Doesn't mean it's wrong, doesn't mean it's impossible, but it's not as straightforward or as easy as a lot of people like to make it sound. I hate saying some people get lucky, because I certainly don't believe that's true. I think people make their own luck, but also some people do just win the lottery a little bit. You could make that first call and win, and you should try it. I'm not suggesting you shouldn't, but it was just these stories I felt like I was getting kind of sick of. I needed more realistic, practical stories. And with that though, our own questions changed. Like we weren't really looking for deals anymore. I mean, we had the inflow of deals. We built that network. Now it was like, how do we fund it? How do you take it to that next level? How do we not just grow, but grow in a sustainable way where we can, take a step back, or we can,
well, even like optimize for tax strategies and future estate planning. It's just as you accumulate more assets and that wealth and that equity is growing, there's different levels of protection that you need and a whole different
it's different level of questions you need. Like it's not just how do I get into it anymore, it's how do I sustain this mini empire I've now built, all these little jobs that we have. Like how do we build the systems, how do we stay safe from a liability standpoint, like Julia's saying, how do we make sure our taxes are in line and getting the most efficiencies out of them. And BiggerPockets does touch on all of that stuff, but it wasn't going into the depth we needed. It was just scratching the surface, which maybe there's a point to that.
Yeah, there's definitely a time where scratching the surface, like you need to know enough to be dangerous, and you need to have that like surface level conversation to know, okay, this is what I need to dive deeper on next. So it's definitely good exposure, but it's like, okay, thanks for introducing the topic. Now, like, where do I go to get that next level question answered? Right.
And I think the big realization for us, or the next step thing we did recently, was joining or going to the Limitless conference. And this is not a plug for the Limitless conference specifically. I mean, we loved it. Don't get me wrong.
Unless, Ken's listening and wants to give us a free ticket.
Right. It was a great time. We do plan on going back. But my point is, any other conference or any other podcast, Ken McElroy, who runs the Limitless, one of the co-founders of the Limitless conference, has his own podcast. But my point is, finding that next creator conference, could be a local network, who knows, but that next stage of where you're getting your information and where you're getting your new type of motivation. So, I mean, we went to this Limitless conference, and it was a very operator heavy room. It was less theory. It was more actual implementations, actual, not really stories, but like execution. Everyone was openly talking about not just like their successes like you hear on the BiggerPockets, but also mistakes. Let's learn from each other here. It was a very open room. It was
so tactical. I mean, like in 1 minute, someone would be talking about how you can like 1031 your property into an oil and gas fund, and like here's like the top 3 people we would recommend to do it with. It was like, wow. Like it truly felt like a one-stop shop of learning new information and being able to take action all in one room, which was very unique.
Yeah, and
I wasn't expecting that.
No, me either. Like we're still using our connections from that today. We're talking to people, whether it's oil and gas or other investors today, from just that one conference. That it was a big level up. I also found that they weren't talking about the trendy things. Like there wasn't one conversation I heard about short-term rentals,
house hacking,
boutique hotels. All those things are definitely great. I mean, we house hack now. We've house hacked in the past. Like, it's not that we're suggesting these aren't great things. And I know a lot of people have been very successful doing Airbnb and boutique hotels. But we're talking about being in the room with the 100 millionaires and the billionaires and people who really took this to the next level. And doing the trendy thing isn't always the best path forward. Sometimes it is, but again, I think it's getting out of that what's trendy versus what actually works and what's the actual plan to get there.
Well
I think
said.
that's the difference.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah, and I know something else that I find myself getting stuck in is I'm notorious for listening to tons of podcasts and trying to always learn. And I saw this recently, I wrote it down, that motivation doesn't always equal progress, or just because you're taking in content, it just becomes busy learning. You're just procrastinating. You're not necessarily taking that step forward. One thing Julie and I always say to each other when we're trying to say, like, is this actually taking a step forward, is like, okay, getting the business cards is not actually taking a step forward. Going to go actually get the sale is doing something, or going to go actually buy the property is doing something. But buying a hat, buying business cards, like, yeah, you might need those for your business, but that's not a needle moving task.
Right.
So I think what we were looking for is just that. What are those needle moving tasks that we could do beyond just surface level? So anyways, that's kind of our thoughts on BiggerPockets. Again, it's not necessarily that it's bad. I just think it shifted as a program itself, and they've kind of narrowed into that newer investor, I think. And we've kind of grown out of that phase, and we're looking for that next level up. So I think we just kind of grew apart, for lack of a better word. There's still great content that they put out there. I think personally there's some better content that fits us right now from other creators that I'm sure we'll discuss in the future. This channel for us is for us to share our story. We're going to have everything from vlogs to how we're going about deals, how we grew to this level. We currently own it's about a $4 million portfolio, and hopefully growing from there. We're still working our W-2s. So I'm sure there's a lot of you that can relate to that and hopefully grow into just doing this full-time operator status. Anything else?
Yeah, I mean, I think for this channel too, I think for me, I just want to share reality. I think a lot of times, like, especially with Instagram, like, you'll see like a really good hook and it just takes you down the wrong path, and then people get like misconceptions. Like, I think people, and I heard this actually on the Wealth Juice podcast, it's like people hear like, oh, you have 10 doors, so you must be cash flowing like $1,000 a door because BiggerPockets 10 years ago said that was the case, or whatever it was at the time. And it's just like, times have changed, the economy has changed, and your strategy needs to change as a result of it. So I think if we could just show what it's really like,
the reality, yeah,
I think more people would be understanding and also have a better idea of what they're getting themselves into if they do want to take on this journey of growing your wealth through real estate.
Yeah, I mean, we say it all the time. I feel like we feel a little lied to in a way. In a bad, like, real estate, we are in it now and we're definitely in it for the long haul, but I do feel a little lied to about what real estate investing was, and I don't think it was intentional. But with that said, I'm so happy we did it.
Of course.
It's a life-changing move. Like, although very different than what we expected, it's still the best move we could have done. And so happy we did it. And we can dive into that more.
Yeah, we can definitely dive into that on the next one.
Cool. So that's it for today. If you're new to our channel, definitely subscribe. Let us know what you want to see. We're going to be putting out all sorts of different content. We already have put out a couple vlogs. We'll probably do more videos like this. We'll dive into some actual numbers. We're happy to show our portfolio. I'm a contractor as well, so we can do some hands-on DIY things on how to make your home better, your rental better, and will kind of evolve with us. That's all I
Thanks,
got.
guys.
Thank you.